This is an Empty Closet Radio podcast. Get more at facebook.com/emptyclosetradio.
It's so camp.
Stop laughing at me. It's not even funny.
Yes, it is.
Hi, I'm Andrew.
And I'm Sam.
And this is The Empty Closet.
The show for everyone, whether you're in the closet
Or out and proud. Or
somewhere in between.
New Year's Eve is approaching faster than a freight train, Sam, and I don't know whether I'm looking forward to it this year or whether I will just be relieved when the whole craziness of December is actually finished. Like, think about this. December gets so crazy, we have the biggest party ever to celebrate its passing.
I like thinking of it that way. I always like to do something on New Year's Eve, but it's not always something that everybody else wants to do. Do you have any plans this year?
Oh, I'm going to be working. I have plans. I have plans to be slaving over a hot keyboard, love.
And you're going to be busy as hell.
Yeah, probably.
No, mine, you know how you always see if you do this at this time on New Year's Eve, then this thing will happen when the clock strikes midnight.
Oh, like those little superstition things. There is one that I kind of buy into, and I'm not a superstitious person at all, but like when it talks about like your relationship, how you are when the new year ticks over, it's like an indicator of how your year will progress. And so like a couple of times I've had like where I've been in really romantic situations, and that year has been a great year for romance. But then there's been a couple of years where it's like, actually, we were having an argument at the time and it all fell apart during the year. So, but I don't know. I don't know whether that's superstition or just like the ebbs and flows of life.
I think it might be the ebbs and flows of life, but I could be wrong. My big tradition that I do is I either text or call my friends in the UK, and it will now expand to my other friends in Europe when it's midnight here. So it's like, 2 in the afternoon over there or something. And then I will wake up to messages at 10 o'clock from them when they're drunk and in the cold, and it's midnight over there. So it's kind of a passing of the baton.
Do you message them being like, hello, this is a time machine, we're in the new year already, where are you?
I go, welcome to the world of tomorrow, or whatever. I don't know. I find some pop culture reference.
You're like, let me just remind you that Australia is ahead of you in everything, actually only just in time and only like 10 hours.
Well, it depends where they are and what we're talking about. But no, that's my real tradition. No, but the thing I'm doing this year, so one of the things going around about, start your new year off right. I'm not in a romantic relationship, so I'm not going to be having snuggle parties and makeouts, at midnight. But on the Big Blue Book of Faces, they go around with the, if you start Julia Gillard's misogyny speech at this time, it will be going, I will not be lectured on misogyny by this man at midnight.
I suddenly realised that your Facebook is full of different things to mine.
I have a lot less half-naked men on mine.
I can't even check mine at work. It's a terrible thing.
But so what I want to do, because I am this kind of nerd. Now, I'm not sure I'm actually going to be able to do it because I do struggle with watching things like TV shows and movies. But if you start Two Towers, the second Lord of the Rings movie, at the right time, there's Theoden in the rain looking like he's about to go into battle going, so it begins at midnight. I want that. So that's my plan this year. The look on your face is fantastic. This is normally the look I give you.
Yeah, can I remind you about the last time that I went to go and see a Lord of the Rings movie? It was at a drive-in movie theatre, and
Did you have sex?
Anyway, and there were 2 screens, so, because they play a couple different movies at the same time, and depending on which one you want to watch, you tune in the radio, right? So my partner had tuned in the radio to the one that was for Lord of the Rings, and we're supposed to be watching it. I kept looking out the side window at like The Secret Life of Walter Mitty, and I was like, that movie looks so much more interesting. I'm a terrible, terrible science fiction person. I'm sorry.
It's fantasy, but anyway, I forgive you. You like over there on my bookshelf, there's a whole shelf dedicated to Tolkien.
I don't even have a bookshelf in my house, Sam. We've talked about this.
I know, it is your single greatest failing. I'm sorry.
I found a stray book the other day and I didn't know what to do with it. It's been living on top of the fridge for months. It's a cookbook. And I looked through it and I was like, what do I do with this? Where am I going to put this? It's just getting dusty up there.
You have a cabinet. You could put it in the cabinet.
Well, yeah, but that's like not really for books, is it?
Why not? Books go where you want them to go.
Well, I just put linens in my cabinets. I guess that's not really a perfect solution either.
Empty Closet Radio. Listen to us using your TuneIn radio app on your smartphone. Very smart.
2019 is the year that will be upon us before we know it. And I've got a few exciting things planned for this year. Mainly, most of them revolve around holidays. But, you know, it's good to set some goals other than getting away from your everyday life. Do you have anything that you're looking forward to this year?
I'm hoping to... Like, I have the serious kind of semi-depressing one, which is that I'm hoping to see some more results from my therapy, because I've actually had an accident, for listeners of the show. Not the one that I've had some time ago, but I had like a small accident in the meantime, and I've had a little bit of a backslide. Not much. It's not anything like what I had before, but I'm hoping that it's temporary. And I guess 2019 will show me whether it is or not. But if not, I'd like to see some more progress. But on a more cheerful note, I'm hoping to do some travel to countries I haven't been to yet. So Mum turns 60 next year on the 2nd, because we share the same birthday. And she wants to go to Canada. So hopefully I'm going to go to North America for the first time ever.
Wait, so that would be not in 2019, though. That would be in 2020.
No, Mum turned 60 in 2019, but in the same year we're going to Canada.
Oh, right, because in my head I'm going, Sam, this is only like a week away. Surely you would know if you were going to Canada by now.
Surprise trip! No, that's not happening.
Yeah, surprise, I'm moving. Thanks, I don't need that happening again. I think aside from like travel stuff, there's like, I think it's good to do some goal setting around, and this is going to sound so boring, but can I tell you, very, very important, it's good to do some goal setting around the start of the year for like what sort of money stuff you want, like what is the sort of money situation that you want. Every year at the start of the year, I sit down and I do like a little spreadsheet that just shows me what my incoming money is and what my outgoing money is, and if there's any in between, then maybe I can spend it on something fun. Generally, there is nothing left over, though. So it's kind of fun, half depressing. But that's something that I do every year. So I'm going to do that again this year at the start of the year.
Well, that's exciting. I try to do that. Whether it always works out is probably a different thing, but yeah.
I also make a whole bunch of like New Year's resolutions that I've never kept. Up until this year, I did keep one of my New Year's resolutions, which was to try and go to the gym more and get more fit. And I actually have managed to do that. Would you agree with me in saying that I've actually managed to stick to my fitness promises to myself?
Yeah, you have. It's been really good. I tend not to make resolutions, so to speak. I do try to make goals, but I don't kind of, go, I'm gonna join the gym. I'm going to write to people 3 times a week and then like fail within 2 weeks. What I did think was pretty good that the council is doing on New Year's Eve is at 7:30 they have a fun run, and they're calling it the New Year's Eve a resolution fun run. And you get started doing the right thing. I thought that was pretty good down on the Esplanade.
I'm wondering, is this is pretty early in the night, because you don't want to be doing a fun run too late at night after you've already, started partying.
No, I think this is more part of the family-friendly activities before people migrate out and get really stupid. Have you ever been the sober person dealing with idiots when you're not at work?
No, because generally, you know what I do? You can tell me whether this is me being an awful friend or a great friend, right? So if I'm going out with my mates and they get a little bit intoxicated and they start like acting silly or like getting really upset or whatever. And I try and calm them down a little bit, but I have like a very low tolerance. And if my little efforts at calming them down don't work, I'm just like, see you tomorrow. And I walk off. And you know what? The next day, they don't remember any of the conversations. So I feel good about it. I feel like I'm probably not the best Good Samaritan ever, but is that an okay way to deal with it?
No. I was going to say, may I direct your attention to when people pass out, in a gutter and can't breathe, and someone should probably help them who maybe abandoned them. But mostly I remember that I actually found one New Year's Eve, and I'm sure I've told this story on the show before, but I'm going to tell it again because it demonstrates why that's stupid. I was sitting and watching movies with a friend for New Year's Eve, and we heard someone yelling, and we looked outside, and there was this bleary-eyed blonde lady standing next to the mailbox, like waving her arms at the window. And it turns out that she'd met up with friends in Cairns. She was British, and she'd flown in that day, and she'd got drunk, and they got drunk, and she'd laid down because sometimes, people do when they're intoxicated, and woke up, didn't know where she was in this random suburb in this city she'd never been to. Her friends had abandoned her because they thought it was funny. And she was now wandering the streets. This was not a particularly nice neighborhood. And she was wandering the streets trying to find her friends who she knew were somewhere in a couple of K's radius. So we took her in the car and drove around until we found her friends and found the house party they'd wandered to. But she was so vulnerable, and she was so lucky that we gave her a hand.
In my defense, I don't this is a little bit of a different situation because number one, I generally don't leave people just in a gutter. It's usually like at a nightclub or something where there's other people around. I just can't be bothered with them anymore. So there are other people around. I'm not completely irresponsible.
Abdication of responsibility, is that what you're saying?
Absolutely.
So, no.
Empty Closet Radio. Like us on Facebook.
So now everybody thinks that I'm a terrible person for leaving people, quote, in the gutter. No, I've never done that, Sam.
But how do you know? Do you remember everything clearly all the time?
Crystal clear. Mostly.
Good times. No, so don't leave your friends in gutters, please, is maybe the take-home message here. Or, for that matter, passed out on a beach is also a really bad spot to leave them. Especially when it's, around New Year's time, because, we have lots of deadly critters on the beach. Lots of them. I was going to say, don't leave them passed out near creeks, because we live in crocodile country. Have you ever seen a crocodile, in the wild? Oh, so many times, yeah. I saw one the other day, and I was like, oh, interesting. I actually went one year for New Year's Eve, and we watched, because there's two lots of, when I was growing up, there were two lots of fireworks. There was the fireworks in town that went twice, but there would also be fireworks at Palm Cove. And so what that meant is that at Clifton Beach and Quara Beach, and then at the end of Trinity Beach, and you go through to Taylor's Point and the end of Quara Beach, people would watch these fireworks in the distance. They wouldn't be very high because you were, so far away. But people would just, bring an esky down, or they might just walk down for the fireworks and then go home, or they'd have a barbecue. There'd be really social gathering. And I remember doing that growing up. And I can remember sitting near the creek going, I saw a crocodile in there, 2 days ago. And all these people are like, we're just going to wade through. I never saw anybody get attacked, but it was not very safe. Well, okay, so here's my crocodile story. I saw one in, Mowbray River, so I'm like, fair enough, never going to go swimming in there. Right, done. Tick off the list. The other day, I was riding home on my push bike, and it was along I don't know, for anyone who rides their push bike in Cairns, they're probably familiar with the Lily Creek Trail. And it's basically on one side it's bordered by the creek, and on the other side it's bordered by the backs of people's houses and apartment units and businesses and stuff. Anyway, I'm riding along there. It's at night time and it's pretty dark, but I've got a spotlight on the front of my bike.
So I'm riding through there, and I didn't have my headphones in or anything, so I could hear just everything around me, which is probably the safest thing when it's dark also. And I rode past this one part of the creek, and I just heard this really big, like, splash into the water, like right as I rode past. And I thought, I wonder if that was like, probably not a massive crocodile, but like a reasonable sized crocodile, like jumping into the water because it like saw me go past or heard me go past. What do you think? Do you think I'm being paranoid?
I think that it's probably more likely that it would be something coming up rather than going in.
It was a really big splashing sound.
Yeah, but I mean, you know that, like, crocs, when they hunt, can come out of the water, right?
Do you think it was jumping out at me?
No, but it could be eating a fish or a bird, or it could have been a bird or a fish, you know. We get big fish.
It was a really big sounding splash. It's probably bigger in my imagination.
I was going to say, the dark riding along at night probably didn't help with the sound of the splash.
Yeah, probably not. And combined with the fact that the last time I rode on that trail, I nearly ran over a scrub python.
Tropics for the win.
Woo, everything, literally everything is going to kill you. When I nearly ran over that snake, right? So I stopped my push bike and I got off and I was like, I will just wait for this thing to go past. And we're like, it's literally, I could look around and to my left there's like rainforest. To my right there's a creek and a rainforest. And I'm like, whatever. The road's like maybe 500 meters behind me. And I'm waiting for this snake to get off the path. It was taking its time. 3 meters of python doesn't like move very fast. Anyway, and then I hear someone walking up behind me, someone without a torch. And I'm like, it's dark here, honey. Why are you walking along here with no torch? And I was like, oh my God, does the snake kill me? Or do I jump into the forest and something weird in the forest kills me? Or do I go through the creek and like a crocodile kills me? Or like, do I wait and hope that the person without a torch is not wanting to kill me?
But clearly you survived, so it's okay.
Well, you know what I did? Not only did I survive, but I used my quick thinking and switched on my video camera on my smartphone and like started filming everything. And I'm like, let me just film who this is behind me. And I put on my best straight boy voice and I was like, oh, how are you, mate?
That's terrible. Maybe your New Year's resolution could be to work on your straight boy voice for when you're encountering strangers in the dark.
For when I feel like I'm going to potentially get bashed.
Yeah.
Thanks for listening to The Empty Closet, brought to you by 1019 Coast FM Cairns.